As our nation approaches Memorial Day 2021, I am privileged to enter into the congressional record the true story of an agonizing battle during the war in Vietnam, and the story recounts the superhuman valor of a great Army soldier named John Eade from my hometown of Toledo, Ohio. John is held in the highest esteem by all who know him. He is a faithful friend. He is a true patriot, a superlatively strong soldier, yet humble, a decorated warrior for liberty. Yes, he is a Purple Heart, and more. He has been tested beyond human limits his entire life. He has triumphed against overwhelming odds time and again. In November 1965, Sergeant John Eade, then 21, was deployed in Vietnam, a fire team leader in the 1st Cavalry Division and its ill-fated 2nd Platoon Alpha Company. On November 14, 1965, Sergeant Eade and his team were sent to reinforce their sister battalion that was engaged in very heavy fighting at Landing Zone X-Ray in La Drang Valley. 2 days later, believing the enemy was destroyed and the worst fighting seemingly over, the 1st and 2nd Platoons Bravo were all choppered out. But Sergeant Eade and his team left Landing Zone X-Ray the morning of November 17th, marching 10 kilometers to Landing Zone Albany. They were the first to arrive. They established the command post and defensive perimeter. Other companies were still coming up the trail. Sergeant Eade with Alpha's 2nd Platoon was sent into the trees to the left while the 1st Platoon went right. That's when the two much larger North Vietnamese regiments encamped nearby attacked. Sergeant Eade's platoon was immediately pinned down in ferocious hand-to-hand combat as the North Vietnamese swarmed down on them through the trees. Sergeant Eade reflected, it was like a gang fight. It was small groups of us versus small groups of them. It got down to knives. It got down to choking people. Sergeant Eade and his team, Wilbert Johnson, Barry Burnite, and Oscar Barker Jr., tried to outflank the attacking Vietnamese, but were badly outnumbered. Eade recounted, Burnite, a machine gunner, was hit in the chest by shrapnel and his gun was disabled. Johnson, his crewman, dragged Burnite 30 meters back to a position of cover in an effort to save him. Eade recounted, it was the greatest feat of human strength I have ever witnessed. I don't know if Burnite was still alive. Johnson and Barker holed up among some trees and continued to fight. Johnson was killed, and Eade was shot in the gut and the right shoulder, forcing him to fire his M16 left-handed. Under RPC fire, Eade said his legs and boots were sprayed with shrapnel that left a large piece stuck in his foot, leaving him unable to walk. Barker tended to Eade's wounds. Everyone else was dead. Eade urged Barker to flee 50 meters beyond the woods where the command element was situated. Barker refused. Shortly thereafter, Barker was shot, and Eade accompanied him as he died slowly. Eade later recounted, I don't think anyone who studies war doesn't get stuck on the Battle of Thermopylae. It's that thing of standing our ground to the last man. If you had your chance to cut out or stay, you would have stayed. Despite some misgivings, according to official records, the command post called in a napalm strike on Sergeant Eade's position. As a result, Sergeant Eade was set on fire and severely burned. Because of the airstrike, it so severely weakened him, but he was still alive and managed to roll in the dirt to put out the flames. Sergeant Eade recalled that among his problems, the napalm proved inconsequential. In fact, he said the napalm served a purpose. It flushed the enemy out and gave me an opportunity to reduce the Viet Cong numbers. Later in the afternoon, still conscious but bleeding, he said he was surprised by the sudden appearance of 3 enemy soldiers behind him. There were 3 North Vietnamese looking at me, one with a pistol. Eade said he shot and killed 2, but was shot in the face by the one with the pistol. The small caliber bullet destroyed his right eye socket and shattered parts of the sinus, making it difficult to breathe. He was knocked unconscious. When he came to, the 3rd Vietnamese was gone. Small groups of North Vietnamese continued moving through the area until about midnight, Eade said. He said he stopped using his rifle after dark so he wouldn't give away his position. He said he managed to crawl around and throw grenades at some parties he assumed were removing their dead after midnight. The enemy activity ended. He recalls it was a struggle to stay awake. He was on his third night without sleep and believed that if he fell asleep, he would be found and killed. Dawn came. He was still alive, though horribly wounded. Around 9 or 10 in the morning, Infantryman Eade said he'd heard someone moving toward him. He prepared to shoot, but held his fire and then saw the shape of an American helmet. I yelled at them, "Give me some water." I was really thirsty, he said. The soldier looked at me and said, "You're shot in the stomach. I can't give you water." I told him I'd been drinking water all night, but the soldier said no. So I asked him for some morphine. I told him I used mine up on the other wounded. "It really hurts." The soldier said, "You're shot in the head. I can't give you morphine." So I said, "Well, give me a cigarette." And they gave me that. Eade said he had never smoked before, but hasn't stopped since. John was awarded the Purple Heart for his sacrifice for our nation during the Vietnam War, and surely for what he has endured for so many years afterwards. His story reveals how John has missed his platoon buddies every day of his life. The Purple Heart is awarded to U.S. soldiers wounded or killed while serving. That qualification describes the entire platoon of which John was a part. The Purple Heart is the oldest military award bestowed on U.S. military soldiers. In my heart and mind, I believe Sergeant John Eade and his platoon should be awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for extraordinary heroism and gallantry in combat. How is it our Department of Defense still has not done the full accounting of the 2nd Platoon, Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion of the 7th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division? Sergeant Eade stood his ground. Against all odds, he never yielded, he never surrendered. His reflections on his life as a soldier and American hero remain largely personal. He knows what he did. His valor endures. He has lived with the memory and wounds of that terrifying battle his entire life and maintained his sanity. Despite lifelong serious injuries, he returned home and over time built a distinguished career as an architect. He maintains an easy smile, a brilliant mind, with the steadfastness of a man who had faced maximum peril head-on and never yielded. Surely one must ask, where does America forge such human beings who give their all for Old Glory? This Memorial Day, listen to the story of this great American soldier, John Eade, and his colleagues. Boston Herald podcast was written as told by John Crittenden and tells the full story. Come to know a genuine hero. John now resolutely is scaling but another tough climb related to his wartime service. In his typical understated but determined manner, he faces a higher mountain climb. He will let us mortals know when and if he wants company. But for now, he's exhibiting the raw courage those of us who know him have witnessed throughout his life. John, Toledo fully salutes you. For your valor, for your deep patriotism. We thank you for your abiding, real friendship. We respect you and your life's work. We value your leadership and clear-headedness. No matter the challenge, your life defines courage. How can we properly thank you for teaching us its meaning? May God bless you and your fallen comrades whom you revere as we revere you.